What's up, Taiwan? I'm Eric Gao, bringing you the news from Taiwan this afternoon. Local media are reporting that long-range ATACMS missiles have arrived in the country. Taiwan's central news agency says the weapons arrived last month at the same time as the first batch of HIMARS rocket launchers, citing sources familiar with the matter. The ATACMS missiles is a long-range weapon that can hit targets up to 300 kilometers away. That would give Taiwan the ability to hit targets in China. This missile has been used by Ukraine to hit logistics centers in Russia as a defense against Moscow's invasion. The U.S. ordered chip giant TSMC to halt shipments to China of advanced semiconductors used in AI applications. That's according to a report from Reuters, which cited unnamed sources. Media previously reported that TSMC had informed its Chinese customers that it would suspend shipments of AI chips of 7 nanometers or smaller starting on Monday. The move is part of efforts to comply with the U.S. export controls on chip technology to China. It follows news that TSMC chips sold to a Chinese company were found in an AI device made by Huawei, a major target of U.S. restrictions. China says it is launching a drive to recruit Taiwanese nurses, but some members of the medical community are skeptical that nurses here will jump at this offer. John Van Trieste reports.
China's latest push to recruit Taiwanese talent isn't in the tech field. Instead, it's nurses Beijing hopes to bring over. China says it will offer 240 positions a year to nurses from Taiwan. Nursing is one area where Taiwan is especially vulnerable. There's been an exodus from the field in recent years. But the head of one of Taiwan's most prestigious hospitals says he doesn't see China as an attractive place for medical staff to resettle, whether in terms of conditions or pay.
我们不能比差，我们要比更好的。大陆绝对不会比我们更好。你想，社会主义的医疗怎么可能会让医护人员的薪水有多高？你假如是美国或是像澳洲这些进步的国家来抢我，我倒是会比较害怕。
The health minister also says he's not concerned about nurses leaving the country en masse.
我们一直在努力哈，那最重要是健保的资源哈，是大家要珍惜。那我们会把人民的健康摆在第一位。
But this doesn't mean officials are passive. Both President Lai Ching-te and the legislature have promised to pay out more to hospitals from the National Health Insurance Fund, which might give hospitals the money to raise nurses' pay. 8 medical associations have come out together to urge the government to follow through on this promise, because Taiwan still needs every nurse it can get. Kama Xu and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
Meanwhile, Taiwan's overburdened health insurance system could see some changes as officials look to shore up its finances. With a rapidly aging society and one of the world's lowest birth rates, the system faces both high demand and shrinking funds. The head of the Insurance Administration says to make ends meet, the government might need to tax more types of income, with higher earners paying more. But he also said cutting waste is a priority.
很多过去需要住院的治疗，那么现在以门诊治疗就可以。保护来讲，就是缴保费的人来讲，那也有点不公平，所以应该也要适时的做一些检讨了。
Taiwan is expected to become a super aged society next year. That's when over 20% of the population will be at least 65 years old. The government predicts that health insurance costs will hit almost $28 billion then. U.S. President Joe Biden is set to meet President-elect Donald Trump Wednesday morning in the Oval Office. That meeting is part of a tradition marking the beginning of the transfer of power between the current and incoming U.S. administrations. Trump broke precedent in 2020 when he did not host Biden after losing his re-election bid that year. Biden gave his first speech since the election last week, calling Democratic candidate Kamala Harris's defeat to Trump a setback, but he promised a peaceful and orderly transition to the next administration. Hundreds of travelers were evacuated from New York's LaGuardia Airport after reports of a suspicious package. Law enforcement say the package was flagged by airport officials during security screenings. Police then evacuated everyone who had not gone through security until a bomb squad investigated the incident. After a roughly 2-hour delay in service, the New York City Police Department gave the all-clear for the airport to resume operations. Protesters in Spain are calling for accountability for what they say was a lack of preparedness and a weak response to devastating floods that killed more than 200 people. Many of them have focused on Valencia's regional president in particular. Chris Gorn reports.
Protesters take to the streets in Valencia, Spain, angry at the local government's handling of deadly flooding that's killed more than 220 people. They've left muddy handprints symbolizing blood on the walls of the regional government palace.
The regional government didn't warn on time for the flooding, didn't respond on time, didn't get the help from the central government on time, and they just did everything that they could wrong. So we want them to quit and to let the new government to take over the responsibilities to clean up the mess that they left.
Brief, violent clashes broke out between police and demonstrators after authorities attempted to break up the protests. The floods were the worst to hit Spain in decades. They were caused by massive rainfall on October 29th, devastating large parts of the country's east. At least 80 people are still missing, and the search for survivors is ongoing. Many people in Valencia, the most affected region, are angry at their local leader for his lack of urgency leading up to the storm.
Según la previsión, el temporal se desplaza hacia la serranía de Cuenca en estos momentos, por lo que se espera que en torno a las 18 horas disminuya su intensidad en todo el resto de la Comunidad Valenciana.
People are also angry about reports that he refused to cancel a lunchtime meeting on the day of the storm. Many are exhausted from the disaster.
Estamos vivos, no sé cómo, y lo único que quiero decir es que este abandono y esta negligencia institucional se tiene que pagar. Y a pesar de que estoy agotada, no he dormido nada, tengo mucha ansiedad, estoy aquí para exigir respuestas, porque esto no es normal.
Spain has set aside at least $10 billion for the first round of rescue and recovery efforts. But with the devastation still fresh in the minds of Valencians, they continue to call for accountability from their leaders. Ryan Wu and Chris Gorin for TaiwanPlus.
Qatar says that it will no longer facilitate negotiations between Israel and the militant group Hamas until the two sides show a sincere willingness to end the ongoing war in Gaza. In a statement, the Qatari Foreign Ministry said that it informed both parties 10 days ago that it would end its efforts if they did not reach an agreement in the current round of negotiations. Qatar also said that media reports about the future of Hamas's political office in its capital Doha were inaccurate, without specifying how. Reports had previously quoted an anonymous official as saying that the office no longer served its purpose and that it could be closed. The war in Gaza began after Hamas attacked Israel on October 7, 2023, killing around 1,200 people and taking 250 hostages. Israel's military campaign in response has left more than 43,000 Palestinians dead and has leveled much of Gaza. Thousands of supporters of jailed former Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan and his PTI party have taken to the streets to demand his release. Khan was jailed last year on what many supporters believe were trumped-up charges spurred by powerful military generals. Protests against his arrest last May turned violent, resulting in at least 12 deaths and thousands of arrests. In February, PTI-backed parliamentarians won the most seats, but not a majority, leaving them unable to form a government in an election that they say was rigged. One of Taiwan's largest national parks is hosting a concert 7 months after the area was devastated by a massive earthquake. Rick Laut reports on how Taroko is hoping to move on from disaster through music and dance.
With some of Taiwan's most dramatic natural scenery as a backdrop, the indigenous Taroko people of the country's rugged east coast celebrate a way of life they've lived for millennia. But this performance also includes a dramatization of a more recent event, when the community was shaken by an earthquake. Just 7 months ago, a 7.2 magnitude quake left 18 people dead and hundreds injured nationwide, many in this national park, where rockfalls and landslides have left most of the park inaccessible, decimating the local tourism-based economy. Now, this annual concert is being held at the Visitors Centre, the only safe part of the park.
大概是有一点点气氛，不过我们今天表达的感觉比较像是用传统乐器跟歌谣去做一个为这个大地，然后为太鲁阁峡谷去做一个抚慰，这样子。
也是会心痛啦，因为毕竟这是我们的家园，我们的家乡，对。但是没关系，反正就是要给大自然休息一段时间。那其实休息完之后，可能又会有不一样的风貌。
当然，每一个人生活都会碰到一些困境啦。那大家如果有机会大家互相帮忙。
Damage to roads, hiking trails, bridges and car parks is extensive. Work to reconstruct the park and make it safe will cost tens of millions of US dollars, take years, and is easily disrupted.
因为到目前为止已经1000多起的这个余震，那从7月、8月到现在已经历经了3次非常巨大的台风的这样子的侵扰，那所以每次的侵扰大概都会造成2次、3次的灾害，那都是地震之后我们的地质环境被松动了。
Organizers hope that as local indigenous people perform alongside Taiwan big hitters like the National Symphony Orchestra, it will demonstrate that although Taroko's natural scenery is damaged, its culture continues. The scars of the earthquake are still evident on the hills of this national park, but attendees say that this valley and its people have a powerful resilience rooted in nature. It's just a matter of time, they say, until this area returns to its former natural beauty. John Su and Rick Lowett in Hualien County for TaiwanPlus.
Dragon dancers have gathered in Taipei for a large parade to celebrate this traditional art form and to help pass it on to others. Cadence Quaranto was there.
Dragon dancing groups from all over Taiwan are parading down the streets of Taipei today, celebrating a traditional art form that dates back thousands of years. Dragons are considered lucky in much of the Chinese-speaking world, and dragon dancing is seen as a way to scare away evil and bring in prosperity and good harvests. Dancers have to work as a team to make a long dragon body look like it's jumping and playing. The dragon traditionally chases a pearl. Today, there are dragons of all different colors, styles, and sizes. The National Center for Traditional Arts has been organizing events like this one for the past 4 years, all with different themes based on the year's zodiac sign. Dragon dancers are here today because it's the year of the dragon.
我们就可以看到有高跷的龙哦，我们可以到飞龙在天的飞龙，我们也看到有灯泡的龙，也看到呢所谓的这个直排轮的龙，所以我们可以透过各式各样，让人民可以感觉到其实台湾文化的精彩，尤其是地方常民文化的精彩。
我们呢都是负责在做一个文化传承，来推广这些义政啊，因为现在我们的龙镇的龙角人数逐渐减少了，所以我们就是来推广，看能不能招收一些新血这样子。
传统技艺不能让它失传，失传的没落就没有了啊，就没有得看了啊。
很好玩，因为很热闹。
It's a lively celebration here with kids and adults all performing together with drums and firecrackers, all here to celebrate the culture of dragon dancing. Andy Xue and Cadence Quaranta for TaiwanPlus.
Thanks for joining us today on What's Up Taiwan. Follow us on social media to get our latest reports. Finally, we leave you some highlights from the Timber Sports World Championship, where Australia won their 5th consecutive title. I'm Eric Gao, and I'll see you later.
From industrial parks in Taiwan to here in Vietnam, we're bringing you the latest in tech and business news right here on TaiwanPlus News.